with Miss Villa Gomez.
Hi.
And we wanted to talk to you about some of the takeaways that we had from the Ron Clark Academy. People have been asking us questions, and it's just easier if we'll put this out there. There's no way we can cover everything. So if there's anything specific you want to know, we're going to give you our contact information, and you can get in touch with us. But we both teach at River Trails Elementary. I teach 6th grade math, and I'll kind of let Lindsay talk about what she teaches.
Yeah, I teach 4th grade English Language Arts and Social Studies at River Trails Elementary as well.
And Lindsay is kind of the one who introduced me to Ron Clark. I guess I had heard of him, but didn't really know that you could actually go to their school and take a trip and observe and things like this. So when the opportunity came available, we kind of jumped on it. Had a lot of people help us out and do that, so thank you to those people. They know who they are.
Yes.
But we're going to try to keep it to a bit of a script here so we don't get off down a rabbit hole somewhere. But Lindsay's going to start out talking about our first takeaway from the trip. So.
I think the first biggest takeaway from going into Ron Clark Academy is the passion that you feel when you're walking in to the school. They greet you with this music that's blaring and upbeat, and it makes you so excited to be there. And then you can see the students' faces, they're smiling, the teachers' faces, they're smiling. It's contagious. It makes you so happy. I think Chris and I, when we were there, we talked about how they all say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. They use manners, and we found ourselves using those manners and doing those awesome things. And so when you have that in a school, it's completely contagious. And the very first way that you can start that, if you're not a huge passionate person, that it doesn't gleam out of you, is just to start with a smile. I think we're all guilty of days like where we go in and we don't have a smile on our face because we're stressed or we're worried about a lesson or something. And if we greet our kids with the biggest smile, they're going to greet us back. And if we can keep that contagious throughout the teachers and the staff there, just like at RCA, that's something that's so easy to do. It's free. You don't need training on it. And it brings such a big impact to the school. Another thing is the kids are involved in asking you questions. We got the privilege of sitting with the kids at lunch, and they would talk to us like we're talking to little adults. It's almost intimidating. But then you start to realize, oh my gosh, they've learned how to have a conversation. They care about you. And you start asking them about questions. And so you can tell while you're there, everyone's in it for the same reason, whether it's the students, it's the teachers, it's the staff, it's the people helping with lunch, cleaning the restrooms. They're there because we love kids. And if we can walk into a school and feel that passion every single day, I think that would make a tremendous difference in any situation that we come upon.
It was definitely a contagious atmosphere, and the root of the passion part I wrote down in my notes. I feel like it comes from the family atmosphere that they try to build. And if you've seen the Ron Clark movie, they kind of talk about that. You know, he walks into this really, bad school in a bad place in a bad situation. He tries to establish family in a place where you think there's just no way this is going to work. But that's what they've done. No matter how hard it is to establish that, they've put the work in and done that. And like Lindsay said, it starts to come through in other areas, and then pretty soon it starts to take over. The passion, I think, from what I gathered from listening to Ron Clark talk, it's one of the most important things that he said that you can do to start to build this passion is to, up your parent connection, which we're going to talk about later. We'll go into more about this later. But he had a quote in that I wrote down, and it says, "You must exude what you hope to create." So if we're going to, if we're going to sit here and teach in a certain way and be, sheltered and things, then that's what we're going to create. But instead, if we open up and we really get out of our own comfort zone, then I think the kids and the parents will follow. A couple other things I wrote down, and I'll come back to because this is going to bleed into the parent connection. But another thing I wrote down is that, if I want success in my school, then it's on me. It's not, I don't sit around and wait for my administrators to do it. I don't sit around and wait for my team leader to do it. Like, it's on me. And so I'm going to set the tone, and others are going to follow. They're either going to not like it and not do it and do their own thing, or they're going to jump on board. But the passion is contagious, and so it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. The more we're into it, the more other people are going to be into it. And it's not to say that like the Ron Clark experience is you can't just replicate that in your school. Like, it has to be like whatever we took from it has to be molded into what we're already doing at our school. So it's not like just you can't just go buy the Ron Clark experience and put it in your school. So that's what I've got about passion. Do you have anything else?
Well, I was just going to say about, not being afraid to go out of your comfort zone, and that was something I experienced last year. I try to do a lot of the things. I've been following lots of teachers that work for Ron Clark Academy, lots of teachers that have just visited Ron Clark Academy, and there's things that I tried to do last year, and it was so intimidating to me because it was something new. Like I would get up and dance in front of the kids or sing in front of the kids, something that I'm used to doing in my shower, but I'm not used to doing in front of kids. But as soon as I'd get up there and I'd be goofy and I'd try to do it, they would do it too. And so if I can incorporate that and not be so afraid anymore, because at the end of the day, whatever, like he says, whatever you exude is what they're going to give you. And so you don't want kids who are just, kind of swaying to the beat or not really going in full force, because you want them to learn as much as you're teaching them. And so if you're excited about learning every day, if you walk into the classroom ready to do whatever's coming your way, so are they. They will love you. They will follow you. They're kids. At the end of the day, they want to perform well for you. They want to please you. And so if you bring that into a classroom, there's not a whole lot that anyone else outside of your classroom can do to affect that, because those kids know they're safe in your room, they're going to have fun, and that they know that Mrs. Villagomez or Mr. Butts is going to come in and do something crazy, but it's going to be awesome and we're going to learn a lot. That was another thing, and I think we'll probably talk about that soon, but it's not all about fun. If you only have fun in your classroom and you do all these songs and these chants or music or games or whatever, but you don't then have the same balance of rigor in your academic content, you're failing your kids. You have to have a strong balance of both, because it won't work. You can be the fun teacher, you can be the strict teacher, but you got to be something in the middle, because it doesn't matter how fun your kids are having if they're not learning. And that's a hard thing to balance, but it's something that's so important if you're a teacher, especially in this day and age, because you don't have time to mess around when we have testing and things like that, but you also don't have time not to have fun, so you've got to mix both of those in together.
One of the things that, as Lindsay's talking and saying this, and I can already tell, like, I'm gonna actually break this video up into different pieces. So we had planned to sit down and do a whole 15 minutes, but I think it'd be better if we actually do a couple of separate videos on our takeaways. So I'm about to wrap this one up, but before we do, what she's talking about, it blew me away. It was like Kim Bearden, who we got her book, Talk to Me, and she's the co-founder of Ron Clark Academy. She had this graphic in her, I think the first session I saw with her, and it was like a balance scale, and it was like structure and rigor and curriculum, and over here it was like creativity and artistry and excitement, and it's dead balanced. And like Lindsay was saying, if you know what's going to happen if you try to do all the fun stuff and be the cool teacher, it's going to be chaotic. And you know what's going to happen if you try to do all of the rigorous and structured stuff all the time. They're not going to be into it. They'll learn, but not like they would through music and song and dance and everything else. So I guess it's cliche to say, but it is really a 50-50 of both, and I don't think it will work any other way. But we're gonna stop here. We're gonna come back with another video in a second and talk about some of the RCA isms that they have there and what they mean for their school and how you might kind of use them for where you are.